Good morning and welcome back to BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today we're joined once again by Ian Matheson for this week's What the Papers Say. So Ian, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Brooke, and I hope you are too.
Yep, all good, thank you. So what have we got coming up for this week?
Well, this week there's lots coming up, but last week the T word was back in force.
Yep, it certainly was.
Yeah, a federal appeals court reinstated one of President Trump's broadest tariff actions just one day after the US Court of International Trade ruled the move unconstitutional and blocked its implementation. All of which triggered renewed huge uncertainty across global shipping and supply chains. While the ruling was seen as a temporary win for importers and logistics providers, the appeal court's stay has thrown the timing and structure of US tariffs back into a state of flux. And that, of course, is complicating planning for ocean carriers, freight forwarders, and shippers who rely on a stable trade policy for routing, procurement, and contract terms. There's a lot of useful media coverage in the links that appear in the panel below.
Yeah, I know that the Lodestar especially, they created a timetable, didn't they, with those kind of provisional tariff dates. I know there's so many of them coming up.
That's right. It's well worth looking at that one in the Lodestar website. Yep. Meanwhile, starting yesterday, Transport Logistics 2025 opened its doors in Munich. There's more than 2,500 exhibitors from over 70 countries in 12 halls and 150,000 square metres of exhibition space. The event, which ends on Thursday, brings together the global logistics and supply chain community to share knowledge, discover cutting-edge technologies, and forge valuable business relationships.
I know the other day we were literally only just saying how big of a show it was, wasn't it? So I know that quite a lot of BIFA members will probably be in attendance, won't they?
Yeah, they're going to have sore feet by the end of the week.
They certainly will, yeah.
Meanwhile, Brooke, in the air cargo environment, demand grew by 5.8% in April, according to IATA. It also warned that there are lots of stresses facing world trade, and well, there's no secret about that, of course.
Yeah.
The growth measured in cargo ton kilometres built on March's strong performance, with total demand up 5.8% and international demand increasing by 6.5%. Capacity apparently increased by 6.3% in total and 6.9% for international operations. The market was affected, of course, by world industrial production rising by 3.2% in March, with air cargo growth outpacing the global goods trade with an increase of 6.5% over the previous month. IATA said that seasonal demand for fashion and consumer goods, front-loading ahead of the US tariffs and lower jet fuel prices gave air cargo a big boost. It added that while April brought good news, stresses in world trade and shifts in trade policy, particularly in the US, are already reshaping demand and export dynamics.
Yeah, I think the key here is for businesses to just kind of stay as flexible as possible, especially over these next coming months as the situation develops, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, absolutely. Across in container shipping, Drewry's World Container Index rose 10% to US dollars $2,508 per 40 foot last week. That means the index has increased 21% in the last 3 weeks, as the pause on US import tariffs led to a resumption of US bound traffic after the initial collapse of trans-Pacific volumes. Freight rates from Shanghai to Los Angeles jumped 17% to $3,738 per 40 foot in the past week, and spot rates to New York rose 14% and 42% in the past 3 weeks. Freight rates from Shanghai to Rotterdam and Genoa have also risen in the past week quite significantly, and Drury said it was the first double-digit rise in the composite index since July 2024.
Wow.
And they say they expect the supply-demand balance to weaken again in the second half, which would, of course, cause the spot rates to decline in the second half of the year.
And I know, like we said earlier, there was a couple of legal challenges around some of Trump's tariffs, weren't there? So I think the timings of those rate changes, I think they'll rely quite heavily on the outcome of that, won't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. and in fact on capacity changes related to the introduction of the US penalties on Chinese ships, which are also uncertain.
Yeah, of course, it all seems a bit up in the air at the minute, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, well, thank you so much, Ian, as always, for providing this update to our members. I know that they'll find it useful. The links to everything we've discussed today will be in the description below. That's all for today's edition of BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information.